Well, speaking fourth this evening gives me the opportunity to start off by saying, isn't it wonderful to be in a party where candidates running and vying for an office actually like each other? We respect one another. There's some really, really good ideas from across the board, and you've got a difficult choice to make. Because you're going to have to cast your vote. Now, it being the SNP, and us being the amazingly democratic organisation that we are, the good news is, you can vote for all of us. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm here tonight to ask for you to give me your first vote. And I'll explain why that is. First of all, I hope you don't mind me asking, how many of you joined the SNP since the independence referendum in 2014? Hands up. Just over half. Thank you very much. How many of you here at the 1967 by-election? Aha! Well, let's start off with modern studies. I won't call it history. Let's start with modern studies. The SNP has been represented at Westminster continuously since 1967 when we won this constituency. And if it weren't for the people in this room who helped win that by-election, I'd venture a guess that we wouldn't be where we are now, closer to independence, than many of us would ever hope. So to all of you who were here then, thank you very much. And who would imagine amongst those of you who were knocking on doors when the highest successful SNP result was going to be winning a by-election, that you now hold every parliamentary seat in this neck of the woods? Isn't that absolutely remarkable? As we meet tonight in a miners' welfare club. Imagine. So the world has changed for us. But there is a bittersweet side to that, and we all know what that is. Which is, we won in 2007, and that was fantastic. It had never happened before in a national election. We governed in a minority very well, were then re-elected with a majority, fantastic, and then had an independence referendum. And if you consider what the opinion polls were suggesting at the start, and how difficult it was going to be for us to win, for us to get the ball so far up the beach and come so close, and in parts of the world like this do so well, it was a very bitter result to not win. And all of us, me, you, all of us, all the candidates, we want Scotland to be independent as quickly as possible, don't we? Yes. But let's be clear, there are no shortcuts. Just because whoever you elect as the deputy leader of the SNP isn't of itself going to ensure that we have an independence referendum quickly, quicker, or that we win. But these, it seems to me, are the questions that you should have at the forefront of your mind. Who has the experience? Who has the track record? And who has won? Not at a local level. We've all won. We've won in European parliamentary elections. We've won in Scottish parliamentary elections. We've won in Westminster elections. All the 4 candidates are highly qualified. I am the only candidate who has run national election campaigns for the SNP and won. I was a campaign director in 2007 and we won. I was a campaign director in 2011 and we won. And I was the SNP's campaign director for the independence referendum and we came pretty close. And I tell you what, I want to make sure that we win and win well and as soon as possible. And to do that, it's going to involve your help. Because the thing about the SNP is it is people like you, whether more established members who've been working year in, year out, knocking on doors, going to branch meetings, working out how much the ticket price for the jumble sale should be, or which prizes should go into the raffle at the end. All of that stuff has really mattered. And we are now, and we all know it, we are on the cusp of having to start working really, really hard again. Now, let's not kid ourselves. We have been in continuous electioneering mode for years. And you know when people tell you, oh, we need to totally reform our policy-making mechanisms in the SNP, I say to you, no we don't. We just need to use the ones that we've got well. And that means when you go to your branch meeting, or you go to your constituency association, that you discuss politics. Because in the past, in recent years, we've been discussing, when are we canvassing? Where are we canvassing? Has the leafleting been finished? Who's the candidate for the council elections next year? Have we produced the leaflets for them? It's been continuous, it's been relentless, and there's been very, very little time within the party to discuss other things. And the truth of the matter is, that pressure is not going to change. Because for better or for worse, the rest of the UK has voted to take us out of Europe. Now you remember, and I remember, in 2013 and 2014 being told, oh no, we need to vote no in the Scottish independence referendum to protect our place in Europe. You remember that? And now suddenly, 2 years later, we are being dragged out against our will, and if I don't know what a material change of circumstance is, boy, that is a material change of circumstances. Because we live in a nation that voted for something to happen, that is, that we would remain part of the wider European family of nations. And because people, for their own reasons, and I'm not going to judge them for it, decided that they'd had enough, they're going to take us out. Well, I'm sorry, it's not on. It's not on. We are Democrats, and we will defend the majority position in this country, and 62% of people in this country voted for us to remain a European nation. Now, time is short, so I just want to highlight 3 key things for you to consider when you're deciding your 1, 2, 3, 4. And I, myself, will be voting for all of the candidates too. But it seems to me you need to ask yourself 3 key questions. 1, who will form the best leadership team? 2, who understands how the grassroots works and can work better? And 3, how do we deliver the independence that you want as quickly as possible? Let's start with leadership. You are electing the depute leader of the SNP. You're not electing the vice convener organisation of the SNP. That's a different job. You're not electing a European spokesman for the SNP. We already have one. And you're not electing the vice convener local government. We already have one. If we want wholesale organisational change, we can do it. And the deputy leader can play a role in it, but organisation is not enough. Respecting local government and understanding the value of our councillors, the campaign next year being absolutely key and crucial to our continuing success is vital, but that is not the election that you are casting your vote in. And nor are you electing who should discuss the issue of Europe, because frankly all of us are discussing it between now and whenever the referendum comes. You are electing who will be the deputy leader of the Scottish National Party with Nicola Sturgeon. That is the person who will be on television, and Nicola does it very well, week in, week out in the Scottish Parliament. I think I do no bad in Westminster, week in, week out. Can you believe this? I'm actually the longest serving party leader at Westminster now. I actually think that says a little bit more about the rest than it does about us. Let's just leave that aside for 1 second. I already do a job for the SNP and the independence movement week in, week out. And the media spotlight is on Nicola, and the media spotlight is on me. So it seems to me, if we want the best possible leadership team, it should bring together our 2 biggest parliamentary groups, the leader of which in Scotland, in the Scottish Government, is Nicola Sturgeon, and at Westminster is me. I think we can work well together. I know we can work well together. We joined the SNP as teenagers in the 1980s, and there's some horrific photographs out there, by the way. I'm not going to deny that. But we have an established working relationship. You need to know that who you are electing as deputy leader of the SNP works well with Nicola Sturgeon, will continue to work well with Nicola Sturgeon, and will lead us to success. I think you can have every confidence that that is me, because I already do it. Give a job to a busy person. Some people say, would you have to give up your job as Westminster leader of the SNP to be deputy leader? To which the answer is no, just as Nicola Sturgeon doesn't have to give up being leader of the SNP to be the head of the Scottish government. I have proven, by being a campaign director in 2007 and 2011, that I know how to win elections. I know how to galvanise the grassroots. I know how to reform the party so it uses modern technology to win. I have done that. I can do it in the future. Another point, and I'm saying this in Central Belt Scotland, although some people might suggest it is not a strong argument to allow SNP members in Central Scotland to consider, but I am not going to insult your intelligence. I think it has served this party well by almost always having a leadership team that reflects both urban Scotland and non-urban Scotland. It is meant in times that we have done well in the northeast of Scotland, it has given us the potential to grow in central Scotland. And now we have won everywhere. That's a good thing. But we cannot forget as a party, and we are the Scottish National Party for the whole of this country, we need to make sure that where we are challenged by Tories and Liberals, we take them on and beat them. And I think having a leadership team in the SNP that looks after both of those parts of Scotland is absolutely key to our success, and that should matter whether you live in urban Scotland or in rural Scotland. Of the four candidates, I am the only candidate who does not represent urban Scotland. That's my leadership pitch to you. On the grassroots, the fact that more than half of you here are newer members show we have a tremendous resource, but let's not kid ourselves, we have a tremendous challenge. How many of you have turned up at meetings and people talked about CAs and CBs and National Council and National Assembly and the remit back and how does this work and how does that work? It is confusing when you get involved in the SNP to start with, and I felt exactly the same when I joined in 1985. But my experience then, when we were a much smaller party, was the first thing my local sent me on an organisers course to learn how to win, how to campaign, how to do things. And I know from speaking to people right around the country that there's a hunger to be trained, to be involved, to know how to organise things better, to understand how things work. And the good news about all of that is it's not a difficult thing to do. How do I know that? Because we've already done it. We did it in the run-up to 2007. We fundamentally changed the culture of the SNP and how we work, and we need to do it again. Do I think we need to have scores and scores of national organisers and national offices? No, I don't. Apart from anything else, I don't want to take £500,000 out of the party's campaigning budget and put it into salaries. I want to make sure that we have the resources at the front line where we're trying to win votes. That doesn't mean we can't be better organised. We can be better organised. I refer you to the point before. This is not an election for a national organiser or a vice-convener organisation. Last point, independence. Yes, please, as quickly as possible. But do not think that I or any other candidate know a shortcut. I do know one thing, though. If we fight the same referendum campaign as we fought in 2014, speaking to the same 45% of people who voted yes, do you know what the answer is going to be? No. It's going to be no, and we'll get 45% of the vote. Now, I don't know about you, I think we should have a referendum, and we should have it when we know we can win it. And to do that, we have to speak to the 55 as well as the 45. And so here's the difficult thing that we have to confront. We have to go up the leafy drives of the people who voted no. And we have to speak to the pensioners who were scared about their pension. And we have to speak to the people who came from the rest of the UK and thought they were going to lose something. And I represent a constituency where 20% of the population is born in England, myself included. And that, it means that we should not retreat into a lagger mentality of talking louder or moving politics in one particular direction or another, where we are in the sweet spot of Scottish politics, representing the moderate left of centre opinion which the majority of the people in this country have. So let's not reinvent the wheel. We know how to win. We know how to reach out, but to do that, we need a leadership team which has track record, experience, and knows how to do it. And with the greatest respect, I think I'm the most qualified of the 4 candidates before you in this election to do just that. Thank you very much.